Hello. I'm excited to be here. I get to meet Abby in person for the first time. I've been on a million phone calls with her. She leads a prayer call that's amazing every single week. Senator Dush, I met with you with Mary Stifler not that long ago. It's an honor to see you again. I'm here to share with you like an amazing story. So I am the vice chair of American Values at America First Policy Institute. But my other hat is I'm on the executive team at a church in Georgia called Free Chapel. Jensen Franklin is the senior. I don't know if you ever heard of Jensen Franklin there. But I want to share a story with you if I could. A story that you can actually be a part of on your own, but it's more a concept that I want to tell you about. I was invited to a meeting in Texas at a very, very large, prominent church there. They called together 10 of the ministries in the nation that they thought were really kind of doing something for Israel, and they wanted to kind of share, kind of a shared knowledge kind of thing. So I went and I listened to each one in the room kind of share what they were doing. And what was really interesting to me was that I learned right on the spot that when it comes to church in America, there's two different approaches that they're taking. Some churches are taking the Great Commission approach. They're kind of trying to figure out a way to get into Israel almost kind of secretly so they can kind of secretly evangelize. Because if you evangelize openly there, they might not let you back. They might cancel your visa. They don't want that happening there. And so the mood in the room was kind of shifting to this: how can we figure out a way to get in the back door and evangelize? And they all came to frustration points with that, where they were kind of running into block walls. And then so it kind of came to my turn to talk. And they said, "What about you? Are you encountering any walls?" And I said, "Man, we are encountering nothing but open doors. Open doors everywhere they turn." They go, "Wow." And I said, I think what's happening is there's the Great Commission approach, which is evangelism, but there's also the Genesis 12:2 approach. And that says that we're going to bless Israel because God said to bless Israel. Not only did he say to bless them, but he said, if you bless Israel, he says, then I will bless those that bless you. He also says, comfort my people. And so we took a whole different approach. And so we started out and we looked for projects to do in Israel. And we have a television ministry and we have several campuses, and we would raise money for projects. One of the projects we did right there in Jerusalem is we built housing for Holocaust survivors. And so we were doing these different projects, but when we had our greatest breakthrough, we were actually there on a visit. We go every other year, or did before the pandemic. We went every other year. We were there, and I was there with Pastor Franklin, and we were scheduled to meet with this young man named Rabbi Tully. And so we're 2 nights in a row. Just said, "I'm too tired. I don't have time. Just tell him we'll meet with him another night." He goes, "I don't know why we're even meeting with him. I don't understand this." Finally, one night, it worked out, and I said, "Pastor, we said we got to meet with him." I go, "It'll take us maybe an hour, but we got to go do it." So Rabbi said, "Okay." So I called Rabbi Tully and told him. He pulled up in this raggedy old, and if you're tracking with me on my slides, we should be on like slide 3 or 4, sir, on the slides. There we go. All right. And so he pulls up in this raggedy old van. Keep going. Next slide, next slide, next slide. There you are, the raggedy old van. And it's Rabbi Tully. And Jensen looks at me, and I look at him, and I said, we're here, let's just go. So we got in the van, and we're driving along there. And Jensen, if you know him, he's a straight shooter. He's a very straight shooter. And we're riding along, it's kind of small talk. And Jensen finally looks at me, he goes, "Rabbi," I just have to be honest. He goes, "I really don't know what this meeting's about or why we're meeting." He said, "Well," he goes, "the person that set up the meeting is a mutual friend." He goes, "That's why I'm here, because I trust him very much." And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Well," he said, "Pastor," he said, "God told me to share this with you." He said, "When you come to Israel, you come to see you bring these large groups, and we're thankful. It's like our tourism." He says, "And you show them the places of Israel and all these kinds of things." He says, "But you never spend any time with the people of Israel." And Jensen looked at him, and he He broke down right there. He goes, tell me more. He says, there's lots going on. I'm about to take you into a place in Jerusalem that you never bring your people. It's the poorest place where people don't have food. And you're going to help me pack food tonight. So we went there and we helped pack food. But it changed the way that we looked at Israel completely different. And so, go to the next slide if you would. We had kind of a paradigm shift. And we stopped thinking about what we could do for them. And we started asking the question, what do you need? And when we asked that question, doors just started opening. And so, and not only did we have a paradigm shift from what can we do for you to what do you need. Go to the next slide, please. Next slide. The next thing that we found out was that we stopped focusing on projects and we started focusing on people. And so what happened was we started getting phone calls from different people. The Jewish National Fund got a hold of us. And they said, well, what are you willing to do? We've heard that you want to do something. You've done some significant things. And we said, you tell us what you need. Now, not only was this like a kind of a spiritual kind of shift, it would turn out to be a prophetic shift. And so whenever you don't go to Israel with the idea of what can we get from Israel, how can we evangelize, because evangelism is going to come. But how can we do this? Just completely, how can we bless Israel? They said, well, you really want to know? He says, you can build nice shining buildings in these places and you can have these people show up for these ceremonies. He goes, but we'll take you where we really need something. And Pastor said, take us there. So they took us out in the middle of nowhere, right up against the wall between Israel and Gaza. And took us back about half mile from there and they said, we need things to be built up in this community right here. And so we kind of looked around and we looked at it. You could even see burned out fields where the bombs had come over and different things had happened. He says, we have communities here that say this is our land, this is our home, and we will not move. And so we spent the next 5 years in that region building preschools, bomb shelters, homes, fire stations, all this infrastructure for this entire area, especially bomb shelters in these schools that were bomb fortified. Had no idea when we literally finished building these places. We were sent videos to the church of all these children singing at a big opening ceremony, and Jensen was there, and all the major people were there from Israel, from the government. Had no idea that not even 4 months after we completed the building of it, that would be the exact place that Hamas would come across in Eshkol, right there, and bomb and terrorize and take. And so we were on the phone with her the very next day, because it was a Sunday, and she called and she said, half the children you saw in that choir are no longer. But the place that God had us build was the very place where that was going to happen. That was prophetic. We had also at the same time built a hospital in the north, just across the border from Lebanon, and a mental health center. Had no idea that Hamas would attack here, Hezbollah would attack there. But it was that shift in thinking. It was that different way of looking at doing it. So today, what we're doing is we're continuing to build. And let me just say it like this. When we've talked to the churches that have taken this same approach, and I'm not bragging about this, I'm just saying we can't spend it fast enough. We've raised over $21 million just in the last 4 or 5 years for those entire regions right there. We're going to spend $11 million this year in Israel. And it's not because of anything great about us. It's because we have put a message out that if we will bless Israel, God will bless you. We have taken that serious, and the people have rallied behind it in a way that like we've never seen before. And not only has God blessed our efforts towards Israel, God's blessed our church. God's blessed us in so many ways. If there's churches that are represented here today, if there's different groups that are represented here today, I'm just telling you, if you will give to Israel, if you will bless Israel, God will bless you. God will bless your ministry. God will bless your church. I know churches now all across America that tithe 10% of their total tithes and income to Israel. And God brings it back sevenfold, tenfold, over and over. It's a principle that's powerful. And so maybe you're thinking, so what are some things that we can do? So here's some things you can do. Give to bless without ulterior motives. And maybe you are a person that you don't know where to give. Align yourself, like with the last speakers, align yourself with what they're doing. Align yourself talk to your church pastor and say, you know what can we start doing? And I promise you, if you start moving that direction, God will bless you. Teach your church why Israel matters. Counter the media narrative. Y'all know what I'm talking about there. Teach your youth and teach your children why Israel matters. We have protests on campus because college professors are talking to children who never heard about Israel in their churches. Never heard about it. And so they have to hear that from us. Take your adults. And this is what we now meet regularly with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, with his different folks. And they always say this. He says, the number one thing that we are asking you to do is to send your young people here to see for themselves the places where Jesus walked, the land where everybody that's in the Bible, the land where they all were. Bring them here. Let them see for themselves. You can tell them, you can do a lot, but if they see for themselves, it'll change hearts and minds. And so I just want to finish with the challenge for you at AFPI. Israel, at AFPI, we're one of those policy organizations where we have said biblical foundations are going to be a part of everything we do. And if you know about our organization, we've had 7 people going into that are now cabinet secretaries. We have over 90 people now in the administration. And we know that the success we've had is because we've said the biblical foundations are going to be connected to every policy idea that we ever do. Amen. And so I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to stand strong, especially in this day and age. But if you will bless Israel, not for any ulterior motives, but simply to bless them, God will bless you. We've seen it again and again, and you will too. Thank you for giving me a chance to share. Oh, one last thing I did want to say, elections matter. I think you understand that. That's one of the things that we focus on. I had some palm cards here that help you talk about the values coming up in the midterms. If you need those, I'll have those here with me over here today.